What's up, YouTube? Hello, everybody. Monday morning. It's almost Monday afternoon. Monday morning, afternoon. The Walking Dead Season 9 has come and gone. This was, I think, a pretty big season as far as storytelling goes. Will the change in, the head honcho of the show going to Angela Kang because Scott Gimple moved to kind of the overseer of the whole universe as opposed to just The Walking Dead. Will that bring people back in? I don't know. I've stuck with it. I really enjoy it. I will say that I was definitely able to tell this season that somebody else was show running the show. Stylistically, the show felt different. I don't know if you'd call it cinematically, but it just looked different. It felt different. The way that shots were, the way the sets felt a little bit different, the storylines felt different. Not just because they were moving into storyline, different storylines with different people, but it just, the way they told the story just felt different to me. So I was actually a fan of the new Angela. I don't know anything about her. I don't know anything about her except for this season of The Walking Dead, and to me, it's been different and it's been better. I'm a big supporter of the show. I don't think I'll stop watching it until it's over. I do believe that Fear the Walking Dead, the last season, was probably the best Walking Dead in-universe season that we've had. Maybe except for the very first Walking Dead season, but that's just because it was brand new at that point. But Fear the Walking Dead was phenomenal last season. I think it's the fourth season. I could be wrong, but the last season was really good. And that's sometimes hard to follow by this one, because Fear sometimes feels really fresh still. It feels new to some people, because you get a whole bunch of they even revolved all of their new the cast. Like, the cast is brand new now. So it's been good, it's been fun, but this season of The Walking Dead definitely felt different, and that's in a good way for me. I didn't feel monotonous. I felt like it changed at kind of the right time. I know that Andrew Lincoln, and he could have just been saying this to try and promote the show, but he had said that, spoilers, because if you haven't watched this season yet, he's not involved anymore. He's not dead, but he's not involved in the show proper anymore. He said that he left the main show at the wrong time, because I think the Whisperer storyline is starting to be really good. The Pike episode was last weekend, and I think that the approach to this season finale that just happened last night was smart. It was slow. It was not. There wasn't a big giant send off. Nobody died. It just wasn't. It was a more emotional show than it was an action show, which is what they've tried to do in the past. There wasn't big explosions. There wasn't giant herds. There wasn't anything real major where you knew you were going to miss out on a big action sequence or big death if you didn't hit the season finale. And I thought that was smart, because you just got gut punched last episode with Tara leaving and with Henry getting killed, and you had that emotional punch to the gut last weekend, and it was a good time for this season to end a little more relaxed. Obviously, there was still some cool scenes. First, it's snowing. In the past, we've only got a little bit of a hint of snow here and there, but this episode really took that to kind of the next level. It looked freezing. The way they got it to look really good in Georgia was really cool. But it added a new element. These were things that we haven't really seen in The Walking Dead yet. At the end of the episode, just to point out a couple of fun zombie, Daryl walks into the gates because they're leaving the kingdom. He walks into Hilltop and bashes a frozen walker. Just bashes his head. He looks like a scarecrow, the walker does. He's just frozen. He can't move. You can tell he's alive. but he bashes his head in, and it kind of reminded me, just the way it happened, it kind of reminded me of Terminator 2, when the villain, the liquid metal Terminator is frozen solid and he gets shot, he kind of explodes. That's what that reminded me of. But it was cool. You got to see frozen walkers. You got to see the way that the arrows were hitting the walkers because they were cold sounded different. It was just really cool having the big scene where they're crossing the river and there's just walkers coming up from the snow. Looked cool. I mean, it looked, again, that actually reminded me of The Mummy, when the mummies were first at the end, where she summons kind of all the mummies and they're reaching up and they're kind of breaking out of their coffins and stuff. It looked really cool. It looked fun, and the snow element was something different that just hasn't been done yet. I don't know if it's high production value or what, but it hadn't been done yet, and that felt fresh to me. It felt different, and it added a different texture and sound and everything to the way that people interacted with the zombies. But the overall gist, that we're 6 minutes in and I haven't said anything about the actual show, but the overall gist of this episode is that the kingdom was going down, pipes were bursting, and it's suffering the test of time. Whether they didn't, look too far ahead to prepare for the winter or any of that kind of stuff, I don't know. But they've already been through winter, so that would be weird. But it's just falling apart. So everybody leaves the kingdom, and they all head towards the hilltop. While they're heading towards the hilltop, they get caught in a big blizzard, in a storm. It's snowing as they're leaving, but it just kind of keeps progressively getting worse and worse. And they have to take refuge they cross through the path of the sanctuary, the old sanctuary, which is also dilapidated and shitty looking. So they take refuge there, and they decide kind of what their next plan of action is going to be, which is to go through Alpha's territory, which she's marked, with posts and things like that, and cut through to the hilltop because it's a shortcut. It's faster that way, and they think they can get their people through. So they do that, and that's what leads to them crossing a river, and that's what leads to the crazy walkers coming up through the snow. And then they finally reach their destination at the end of the show, and everybody is kind of welcoming that whole storyline. Inside of it is the King and Carol storyline, where it took a strain on their relationship that Henry had passed away, or that he'd been murdered, I guess. This is Carol's second kid, really, that's been murdered. So it was hard on her, but they decided they had to kind of go their separate ways, it's tough. I thought that might be a relationship that would last a little bit longer, until I honestly thought one of them was going to die, and that's how that kind of relationship would end. But it's, they were emotionally invested in Henry, who wasn't really their son, but they took him in. They invested a lot of time and a lot of effort to make him family, to make him, feel like he was their parents. And to have him kind of taken away from them, it's hard. It's a strain. It makes cracks in relationships that may or not be noticed or may or not be there. It makes them appear, or it makes them larger. And kind of taking a step back away from that and away from the relationship was probably a good idea. It wasn't something I saw coming until the very end. But we'll see what happens. They're still both alive, so you never know. Relationships kind of go wane and wax as the time goes on. So they might get back together, but this gives us a little bit of a fresh start with both the King and with Carol, away from having to be, king and queen and kind of running that fairy tale kind of story. But it was sad. It was sad, but I'm excited to see where they go. The other big storyline in this kind of easier to take in episode was Negan's storyline. It's too cold. They don't want to leave him in the cell, so they bring him out. They go into one of the houses to start a fire because the electric's out. So they're just finding wood, and they find two people, a few people with giant fireplaces, and so they get a fire going there at the house. But if something happens, the fireplace explodes. Everybody's okay, but it's just a big thing, and so they decide to go to a different house. In the middle of all this, Daryl's dog, who is named a dog, he escapes, and so Judith has to she doesn't have to, but she just runs out and says she needs to go save him, and Negan doesn't hesitate. He doesn't hesitate to run after her, because I feel like he feels like I don't think he feels like she's daughter-like. I feel like he thinks that she's peer-like he did with Carl. Where I don't feel like he was trying to be Carl's father. I don't think he was trying to be that kind of figure. He respected Carl, and I think that's something that he does with Judith. I think that through that respect, he didn't hesitate, where a lot of other people may have, or they did, obviously, because they didn't go after her, but he didn't hesitate to run out and try and go save her, which I think earned him a little bit of saving grace. So at the end of the episode, on that part, he saves her, he keeps her warm, but he gets jacked up. There's debris flying in the blizzard while he's trying to find her. He gets hit a couple times, and so his leg's messed up, and he's in the infirmary again. But unlike the last time where he had almost died because Rick had slit his throat and he was in the infirmary, this time he didn't have any cuffs. Maybe it was because he couldn't run, because his leg was all jacked up. But I feel like he's kind of taking a turn. If you read the comic books, you kind of see what's coming. Of course, it's coming a different way, but you see that in the show, you see there's a little bit of a turn. Maybe there's that little bead of trust that's starting to kind of appear again. And so this episode was more about relationships and more about where they're going and where they can go in the future than a big explosive somebody's gonna die season finale. And I really enjoyed that about this season finale. Again, I really liked the season itself. I think Angela Kang is doing a really good job. I'm excited to see where season 10 goes. We didn't really see anything about the Whispers until the very end, when Alpha was acting crazy and she let herself get hit with a twitch, which I assume is some kind of punishment for the mistakes that she has made. But it's been good. I'm excited for season 10. It's different. It feels different to me because the villain is different. It's not just an opposing people. They're opposing, but the way they've lived and survived has been so different from anybody else. So it's so weird. It's just a weird combo. I don't want to say it's weird because it's not weird, it's good, but it's different. It's different from the Negans and the governors out there who were they had their people and they were just protecting their own. Alpha and Beta are nuts. I honestly think that's kind of the way that they're leading us to believe is they're just ruthless and they're crazy. So I'm excited to see where season 10 goes. There was a little bit of a surprise there at the end with somebody reaching out through the CB radio, so apparently we'll find out who the heck that is in season 10. So it'll probably be, we're in April officially now, so October I'm guessing is when the next one will come out, the next season 10. So long wait for that, but Fear comes out here pretty soon. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the season. If you didn't, let us know. If you did, let us know. Outside the Longbox at gmail.com, 970-573-6148, facebook.com/thinkingoutsidethelongbox, Twitter and Instagram at Outside Longbox. Let us know what you think about The Walking Dead or anything else. Hope you guys are having a great day. We'll see you later.